this is Crazy Pretzel coming to you live with my TNA Impact review on this Friday the 13th here. And if you don't believe it's Friday the 13th, well, you're not paying attention to the calendar. So anyway, Impact yesterday, last night, it was a pretty good show. The first 45 minutes of the show kind of sucked, so if you have watched it, or actually if you haven't watched it, I would skip over that, but otherwise the last like hour 15 of the show was pretty good. And then if you could skip over commercials, that's fine too. But anyway, let's go into the first 45 minutes that I didn't really so much like, and then the rest of the show was better. So let's go into it. I didn't like the opening montage of the show because they were showing recaps from last week. You know, like trying to promote who the network person is. And basically what I didn't like about that was, last week, like, Hogan and Bischoff did mention Vince Russo as a possibility, and they didn't include it. And then they showed, like, the You're Next thing on his car, you know, trying to, like, hype if it's Goldberg or something. But last week it was the X Division guys, like, you know, spray painted that and pranked it. So they really didn't, like, acknowledge that the X Division guys, like, were behind it, even though everybody saw it. So I didn't like that opening montage of the show. So we start the show off with the 7-minute promo with the Jarretts. Basically, Jeff Jarrett says that he wants a truce, and Karen and him are whining that they want a truce, basically. Even though they're complaining about, you know, that they've beaten Kurt Angle so many times, and he hasn't beaten them yet. But this goes on for about 5 minutes, and then Kurt Angle comes out at the end and says that, you know, there's no truce, and that his mistress is gonna, you know, kick her butt in the ring at Sacrifice. But then he doesn't mention who it is, because the network person's gonna say who it is later. So really, this opening promo really didn't achieve anything, in my opinion. So, then we had our first match of the night, if you want to call it that. It only went 2 minutes. And I hate to rip on the knockouts, because I'm such a fan of TNA knockouts versus the Divas division, but for some reason, TNA just decided that this week it wasn't going to be a good week for the knockouts as far as wrestling-wise goes. So it was Mickie James and Miss Tessmacher against Tara and Madison Rayne. I gave this match a 1 out of 5 because it lasted 2 minutes. Pretty much it started off, Tara and Mickie James were like, it was okay at first, like they were kind of like, you know, matching move for move, and then they both had like the same idea for a drop kick, which none of them, they both kind of did it, and they were like, you know, they had to stand off, and they were like, okay. So then, Madison gets tagged in by Tara, and Madison's screaming at Tara or something, and then basically Miss Tessmacher gets a tag in and then does like a victory roll, like he's up on her shoulders and flips over. Nice move, but then she just pinned her with it. So like Madison got no offense in this match whatsoever, so it was too short for my opinion. Next we have Flair and Hogan backstage, and Hogan's accusing Flair that he's, you know, the network guy, and then Flair says like, you know, how dare you, I had shoulder surgery, blah, 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 and then they make up at the end of it. So, you know what, from now on, I'm going to call Flair, Bischoff, and Hogan the old-timers. You know what? Just like that Chili's burger at Chili's, the old-timer burger, because it's been there forever. It's just like these guys. They've been there forever. Not saying it's a bad thing. Well, actually it is, because we see these guys on TV too much. Moving on. We had Tara backstage discussing Madison Rayne, basically saying that she hopes that Mickie wins so she can be done with the contract, and she's insulting Madison, and then Madison shows up and she's like, when I win, you know, I'm gonna make your life a living hell. So, I'm kind of thinking Madison's gonna win at this pay-per-view this Sunday, as even though they are talking about the whole contract thing with her and Tara, I think there's gonna be like a, Madison is going to have to make Tara's life miserable before Tara eventually gets out of it. That's my gut feeling of how they're going to play it out. But who knows? Plus, it would be a short knockout strand for Mickie, which wouldn't surprise me with TNA's booking. So, then we have Dreamer backstage, and then the camera guys trying to get, you know, find out why Dreamer did what he did last week. And then eventually AJ runs up to him and then starts accusing him, and then challenges him to a match at Sacrifice, and then Dreamer accepts it, and then he challenges him to fight him right there, and then Dreamer doesn't. So, I'm going to talk more about this later, the whole storyline between Dreamer and AJ. Then we had a Sting photo shoot, which was kind of funny. I was thinking, like, oh, look, Sting's a diva. But he's having a photo shoot of his belt, and then he has some plug for the pay-per-view. So, that was about the first 45 minutes. This is where the show sucked. So, but then the rest of it was decent. We had a Beer Money Matt Hardy promo. Basically, like, it was pretty good. Like, James Storm was, like, really, like, good on the mic in this. Hardy basically, criticizing him for, being, like, a cowboy and drinking or something like that, and it makes him sick. And, like, James Storm went back at it pretty good, and then, at Sacrifice on Sunday, it's going to be Matt Hardy and Chris Harris, Chris Harris, like, made a surprising return. And it's going to be those guys against Beer Money at Sacrifice, so, it'll be good, I think. I'm not really, like, so much, like, holy shit, Chris Harris is back in TNA, because I'm not, like, a hardcore fan of Chris Harris, because I think Beer Money is a better tag team than AMW was. Yeah, AMW was there at the beginning, but Beer Money is, like, a way better tag team than they are. So, but anyway. Next, we had a rematch from last week, Sangriento versus Suicide. I gave it 3 out of 5. It was pretty good. It went about 5 minutes. Some good moves in it. I think their match last week was a little better, but this was still good, though. Sangriano hit a nice, like, over-the-top corkscrew dive on Suicide, which was cool. And then he came back in the ring and hit a missile dropkick, kind of like Daniel Bryan does. And then Suicide hits the Suicide Solution for a 2 count, and then Grianto kicks out. And then he hits that springboard reverse diamond cutter move, which I'm going to call it the Sunset. That's my name for it. If TNA calls it, I demand royalties for that. But I'm going to call it the Sunset for the San Grianto part. And because the sun sets at the end of the day, well, since that way, westward, and that calls it a day. So the Sunset, if they call it that, I want royalties. So then after that, the old timers come out and they flare a little bit of Suicide to get him out of the ring. They demand to know who's behind the network, and then Mick Foley comes out. And he basically challenges Hogan and Flair to hit him or something so that he would fire him. And they don't. So then Foley mentions that TNA is now going to be called TNA Impact Wrestling instead of, just TNA Wrestling. That he's bringing wrestling back or something. And the promo was good, but the only thing I didn't like, though, was like when Foley first said TNA Impact Wrestling, like Hogan like really interrupted him like a little too soon to really like make it stand out. And then Foley didn't repeat himself afterwards to try to make the point clear. So later, like Mike Tenay like said something like about what Foley said or whatever, but it was like, Foley should have repeated himself, I think, to make it worthwhile. But after that, then he introduces Kurt Angle's mistress, and it's Chyna. This is a cool move, I think. Like, I don't know. I'm not, like, a hardcore Chyna fan or anything like that. That kind of sounded wrong. But, basically, like, let's see what she does. I'm willing to give her a chance. I think even TNA's got her, like, on a short leash or something, too, so... Because, she's got a nice history of drug usage and, not being reliable and whatnot. So, but I'll give her a chance. Let's see what she can do. So, then, Foley announces a 25-man battle royal for the #1 contendership. Then we come back, and then we have, Abyss versus Crimson versus Samoa Joe, 3-way dance matchup. This match was okay. I gave it 2.5 out of 5. It could have went a little bit longer, in my opinion, but, basically what I didn't really like that they booked this match on Impact because, like, at the pay-per-view, they're going to have Abyss versus Crimson one-on-one. I would have booked this match, like, Abyss versus Crimson on Impact or something, let them fight for, like, 5 minutes or something, and then just go ahead and end it, like, in a DQ or something. I guess that would be okay, because then at the pay-per-view, actually have Samoa Joe cause the DQ, then at the pay-per-view, have it be, like, a triple threat match, and maybe make it, like, a Monsters Ball or something. I think that would be awesome. So, but they didn't do it like that. Instead, they just had a 3-way dance, and it was okay, like, some okay moves. Joe hit his corner kick on Crimson. Crimson hit a nice swinging neck breaker on Abyss. And then the finish of the matchup was, Abyss hits a black hole slam on Joe. And then, he's like, and then Crimson spears him. So then Abyss, like, rolls out of the ring, and then Crimson goes over to Joe and pins him. So, pinning Joe was, impressive for Crimson and whatnot. But then after the match, Abyss attacks Crimson again, and then Joe just does what he does last week, doesn't help him, backs off, whatever. So, again, this is kind of like a 3-way feud, but it's like, I don't like it the pay-per-view, it's only 1-on-1, Abyss versus Crimson. I think they should have booked, a 3-way match with this, so. But, oh well, at least Joe's moved on from the Pope. That's what makes me happy. So, And I kind of like Crimson a little bit, so, yeah. Let me see more what these guys can do. Then we have RVD backstage, watching the monitor, telling the camera guy, you know, I'm really interested because I want to see who I'm going to defend the championship against because, you know, he's so cocky that he's going to beat Sting at Sacrifice on Sunday. So then we have our 25-man Battle Royal, and this match I gave it a 5 out of 5. Shocking horror. I'd never given a TNA match a 5 out of 5, but the match went 28 minutes. There were 2 commercial breaks, yeah, but the match went for 28 minutes. And there was just a lot of good action. Battle Royals are always good matches in general, but, like, they gave this match a lot of time, and they really, like, they did a good job, like, I don't know, I don't want to say interlocking, but including, like, the feuds between, like, a lot of the guys. Like, with some of the eliminations, like, Hernandez threw Shannon Moore out of the ring. You know, those guys are feuding, tag team-wise. Eric Young threw a Gunner out of the ring, so, like, I'm wondering if that's going to be, like, a potential feud coming up for the TV title or something. James Storm and Matt Hardy, they, like, eliminated each other. And then, when the ref's back was turned, Matt Hardy threw, Robert Roode out of the ring. So, you know, some hype for their match. And then, Scott Steiner threw Matt Morgan out of the ring. And then Matt Morgan pulled a, Sid Justice Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 7, I think it was. Where, like, he's, like, holding his arm or something, and then someone else dumps him over. So, they did a good job of that. And then, Dreamer eliminated AJ Styles, and then Bully Ray later eliminated Tommy Dreamer. And then, Jeff Jarrett, with a little help from Karen, eliminated Kurt Angle, and then Chyna dumped, Jeff Jarrett out of the ring. And then the winner of the matchup, it came down to Bully Ray and Anderson, and then Mr. Anderson won. So, he's #1 contender, like, and this is gonna be, I guess, after the title match at Sacrifice, so it's not like a triple threat or anything. I got kind of confused about that at first. So, I was going to talk about the Dreamer, AJ storyline. The storyline to me doesn't really make a lot of sense at this point. Last week it would have, with Hogan being in charge and Dreamer. Basically, I think they were going the route that, you know, Dreamer has to listen to Bully Ray and Immortal because otherwise he won't have a job to feed his family. I think that's kind of the direction they're still going to go with this storyline, but it really makes no sense because if Mick Foley's in charge now, like, he's the guy in charge of everything, like, really, if Hogan's not in charge, then why should Dreamer have to listen to Immortal to, you know, do the bad things that he's gonna do to keep his job? So, if that's the way that they're going with the storyline, to me, it just doesn't make any sense, you know? That's like having, that's like saying if you were, like, a school kid or something, and you liked the principal a lot, you know? And, there was someone else that was originally in charge or something that was an asshole to you, and so you start listening to the, you know, you start becoming an asshole or whatnot, then the good principal takes charge, and you're still going to be an asshole instead of, you know, doing good again. I guess that was a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. And I'd like to apologize for not thinking, but, Grumpy Cheeto decided to, pull one of the meanest pranks ever. And I'm going to show you guys footage of that in a second, but, you guys, you gotta feel for me on this. Roll the footage. Oh, I'm so excited for my date tonight with Stephanie. I've been talking a couple of days on Yahoo Personals, and oh, I'm so excited for my date tonight with her. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna take her dancing, and we're gonna go to a fine restaurant. I can't wait. This is gonna be exciting. This looks like apartment 4. This is the address. Hey, phony, I'm here to pick up your daughter Stephanie for my date tonight.
Date? My daughter's only 7 years old. You sick freak? Get off my property.
Grumpy, I can't believe that you set me up like that. Sent me to a 7-year-old's house? You stupid, Grumpy, payback is a bitch, and I've got some good payback coming for you. Things are definitely gonna be changed in your future, phony. You shouldn't have played this game. Don't play with fire, because you're gonna get burned, and I am definitely gonna burn you next.